Late night with the devil.
Running with the devil. Late night with the devil.
Late night with the devil.
I ain't going in and pitch correcting everything.
Good evening, and welcome to Straight Jacket Talk. My name is Kevin, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my co-host, Nathan. Nathan, say hello to the people.
Hello, good people.
And we have some very special guests for our episode tonight. We have the Mouths of Madness. We have Dan. What's going on, man?
Not much, Kevin. Nathan, thank you guys for having us. It's about time we all got together, had this nice little family session on Straight Jacket Talk. Looking forward to talking about Late Night with the Devil with you guys. Very happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
Next, we have the mayor of Halloween Town, Bear Claw. What's going on, man?
Hey, good evening, everybody, and good evening to all my cubs out there. Excited to be here, Kevin.
We're excited to have you here in the studio with us, Bear Claw. Finally, we have the youngest member of Madness, my son, Logan. Logan, what's going on?
I'm doing okay.
Are you excited to be on national television?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to get through it.
Here's a little hint for you to get you through the night. Picture the audience in their underwear. It helps.
That doesn't help. They're pretty ugly.
Then
Also,
imagine them
don't-
wearing crotchless panties and barking like a dog.
Ooh.
That's
I
the way
like
to go.
that.
I don't.
Also, definitely don't throw up on stage or like throw up the entire contents of your innards.
Yeah.
That's another pro tip.
And if you are going to throw up, make sure it looks normal rather than like black
I think that's
sludge.
a given.
Well, this is a special crossover episode between Straight Jacket Talk and the Mouths of Madness. So we're excited you all could be here with us tonight. Now, let's get on with the show. Late Night with the Devil from 2023. It was written and directed by Colin and Cameron Cairnes. I believe that's how you pronounce their name. I could be wrong.
We butchered it.
That's okay. We'll have them right in.
at this point.
At the padded room at outlook.com.
That's a plug. Write it down. Now, we have all of us together. This movie had a budget of $2 million. Do you guys know what it grossed at the box office?
It had a really limited run in the theaters, didn't it?
Yes.
Because this was a Shudder original and that was the whole idea. So, 4 million?
All right. Bear Claw, what do you have?
I'm going a cool 10 million.
Ooh.
Damn.
Logan.
I think it
you're
did
up.
good.
Oh, 8 million?
I'm going to go 12 million.
Ooh. Dan's the closest.
Damn.
That's usually how it works.
Oh.
That's how it works. 11.5 million.
Bear Claw wins by Price is Right rules. So.
Price is right, yes.
Well
The
done,
price
sir.
is wrong, Bob.
This was not bad, though, for a limited release.
No, not at all.
Definitely. I was surprised it was only $2 million budget. I thought for sure they had a bigger budget the way it's done.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Right. It
And-
does.
And they got Michael Ironside doing the
narration.
The
I just learned
narration.
that
You'd
today, and it
expect
makes
him
so
to
much
be.
sense. It connected everything with me. I was like, I didn't know Michael Ironsides was doing it, but then I listened to it again when I rewatched it today, and I was like, that is most definitely Michael Ironsides. Oh, he's
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna-
best.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit my ignorance here. I have no idea who he is. Could anybody enlighten me?
You
Yeah,
remember
you-
Starship Troopers, the teacher?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
He was
There it is.
also the bad guy in Scanners.
Yeah.
All right.
Scan me.
That explodes.
I don't know if you had seen the headlines at all, but what was cool about this movie is one day in the box office, this movie made $666,666.
That's
Oh
awesome.
no.
It was meant to be.
I hope I
That's
got
too
that number
perfect.
right. I'm not a math guy. On Rotten Tomatoes, Late Night with the Devil currently has a 97% critic score and an 81% audience score.
Should be 100.
Whoa. Logan teasing us up here.
Oh, yeah.
But what do
Oh.
the rest of us think about Late Night with the Devil? Before we get into our review, if you guys could please hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because when we have any new videos that drop, you'll be the first to know. Isn't that right, Nathan?
Yes, it's a privilege.
That's right. That is right. We're going to dive right in here to the madness. Late Night with the Devil. What are
So
our overall thoughts? Bearclaw, you jumping in?
I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in here, and I think
his
me and
hat in
Logan
the
are
ring.
gonna come together on this because just judging by what he said thus far, I thought this was an excellent movie. I was truly entertained the entire time. I enjoyed the style of it. I enjoyed what the story of it. I liked everything, even the ending. I know is a little controversial for some people, but I just thought it was well put together. I think it's going to be a cult classic. We're going to be talking about this movie for many, many years to come. And it was fantastic. The acting was awesome. You know, Polka Dot Man taking the front center stage there. I don't know that I have anything bad to say about it, to be honest with you. I think it's a fantastic movie.
Whoa. Coming out hot. Dan, what are
Uh,
your thoughts on this movie?
If I could summarize this word up in one word, it'd be captivating. This movie, from the minute it starts, it's like you feel like you're in for a ride. Like you almost feel like you're in this carnival ride attraction thing. And
It
like,
does have a very Disney ride feel to it.
yeah, like I don't know how to describe
What's
it,
next?
but yes, and it feels like you're not watching something from, like you're watching something from an alternate reality or an alternate universe.
I can see that, yeah.
I found it more compelling than scary or intense. It's a movie that just stays with you. You think about it after you've watched it. It's packed with so much creativity and detail that like it provides like a rewatchability factor. And the thing that I love about this movie specifically is there's so much theory crafting you can do with it. Like, I don't know, like I'm kind of on this train idea that Jack Delroy's already dead in hell, and this is like his trial and his confession of his everything, and it's just the devil is playing him the entire time. And that's
That's
like, I don't know. It is,
With the
yeah.
devil.
Yeah.
Like rewatch it again with the idea of that in mind. Like the game's already up, his fate is sealed, and this is just like if this is a found footage thing, this is like an artifact of proof that hell exists.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's a cool way of
I
looking
loved
at
it though.
this.
I absolutely loved it just because it just allows you that room, that creative room to be like, oh, like I wonder what this. There's so many little things. Like I'll go into it later. Logan, what do you think?
Well, I hated it. No.
You
I knew he did.
This is why this movie sucks. No, exactly what you guys said. The movie's perfect. Like, I really liked it. It was a perfect, like, sense of a different vibe, you know? Like, we've never seen this kind of movie before. And, I don't know, just, like, the casting is perfect, too, because it's not, like, big level mainstream. You don't have The Rock showing up, taking down like I don't know San Andreas. But I don't know. It's just like a good movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I second that.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, do you also agree with everybody, or are you gonna take the other route here?
I do think I'm actually a little bit more negative on this movie than everybody else.
Ooh.
In that I just
Good.
thought it was really good.
Ah.
Like, everybody else loves it to death, and I'm like, yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't have very many negative criticisms when it comes down to it. There was a few things that some of the special effects I kind of maybe could have done without.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I thought it was really good. I think I just enjoyed the ride a little less than everybody else. I'm like, you guys are here, and I'm like, here is all I'm saying. You know,
I think I'm also.
What was your beef with the special effects?
well, I guess we should spoiler warning now.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a newer movie. So not everybody's seen it. It's, we're not talking about The Shining or something. But I mean, when Lily's head split open, I didn't really think that looked amazing. And I honestly would have preferred it if it was a little more
Practical?
down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am the only person on this podcast who's, an apologist for CGI, but if it was more something you could have done with practical, maybe gore instead of supernatural or something, I don't know. I just didn't think it looked great. And the puking scene didn't look amazing to me either. So, but these are minor
I don't know
things,
that I have the eye for the quality of it, but like the fact that it kind of went in a cosmic horror fashion kind of really played to
Brought
me
you into
personally
it, yeah.
that it doesn't go, it goes in a demonic direction, but then it kind of goes in a cosmic horror direction with like electricity and the demon coming out of the screen at you, and like then her head bursts open, and like if you think about
Yeah.
like how like a purely spiritual entity would present itself, like that
Right.
in my mind was very like again, I don't know. There's a couple of moments in this film where the quality isn't maybe the greatest of some of the effects, but especially
Right.
when like lightning is coming out of her hands and stuff,
Like the blue lightning.
like
Yeah.
the blue lightning.
That
But
was
I
awesome.
don't know. I find that stuff all very forgivable with how awesome it was. Just when she
Yeah.
just totally just
Yeah.
know?
No, I
Surprise!
don't. That's basically all I'm going to say about the special effects, because I didn't think they were bad. There was just points where I was kind of like, eh. It didn't like ruin anything or anything like that. I
Just
just,
minor grievances.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm with you on those.
The only one I didn't really like was the one where they showed Jack's wife behind him.
Yeah, that didn't.
I
Yeah.
thought that one was really out of place. To Bear Claw's point, it does have kind of a cosmic horror feel at times.
Right.
And so I could forgive, or not forgive, but just like accept when Lily's head split open, you
Right.
get that imagery. But the like cheesy kind of white ghost, I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
that didn't.
It's an
Yeah.
indie.
And again, their budget wasn't crazy. So
No, 2 million's low.
yeah.
Really low, especially.
Still
for the
trying to
time.
wrap my head around that.
Yeah, $2 million to produce this. I mean, that's an incredible bargain. I mean, it's just
Is
it's
it a
tough. I mean, some
Faustian
of the
bargain?
movies that we reviewed from way long ago had like $2 million. Like what was Nightmare on Elm Street was only like $3 million.
Yeah, they were
And
pretty low.
adjusted for inflation, you bring up that same budget to make Late Night with the Devil. It's truly impressive what they were able to accomplish, especially
Yeah,
with the
for
talent
sure.
they were able to get.
I'm kind of in agreement with Nathan where I am. Like, I thought this was a very good movie. I didn't think it was spectacular. But kind of like we had talked about on the 28 Days Later episode, possession movies for me are kind of lower on the totem pole as well. of like what I look for a horror movie. In saying that, though,
I mean, I like possession movies, so
Me too.
yeah, see, I'm not a
Same way.
huge fan, but Dan had a good point. This one keeps you captivated throughout.
yeah,
It's like, what's next?
yeah.
And
The format
was-
of the movie really helps with that too. The fact that it's a late night show, and so
Yeah.
there are like segments like a late night show, and you're always wondering what's the next segment gonna be.
right.
You know, that keeps you looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to ask too, what were your thoughts on the aesthetic of this movie, like being stuck in the 70s? Because I thought it was really cool, and I actually want to see newer horror movies maybe have some timepieces like this, because there's something creepy about the 70s.
Yeah, there was something about that aesthetic that really added to the scary. I didn't really think this movie was that scary, but there was something about it that added to the creep factor. I totally agree with that.
Like what you say, but there's something creepy about the 70s. It's almost like their style is so unhinged. Like it's just an unhinged, like loud colors or just like dark,
Giant
uncomplimentary colors and patterns, and it's just it's ugly in general. I don't know. It's just gaudy and all over the place.
Yeah, they say fashion goes in cycles, but a lot of those fashions from the 70s just never came back for pretty obvious reasons.
Nobody's rolling around in a laser suit.
No, nobody's got collars down to here, you know.
I thought it kind of, what you were saying earlier, like from another world, it felt like.
Yes.
It did feel otherworldly. I agree with
Yes.
that. And that made me feel very uneasy, but I loved that. And I love that feeling of, okay, we're in this like alternate 70s, and what's gonna, it really, I could not have told you moment for moment where this was going and what was gonna happen next. Like, that's
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
things I loved about this movie. I don't love movies where I can sit down and in the first couple of seconds be like, oh, okay, I see how this is gonna play out. But
Yeah,
there's no
that guy's
way
gonna
I could
die.
have
That
guessed
guy's
that.
gonna live, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Logan had seen this a while back, right, Logan? And
Yeah.
you were saying you gotta see this movie
Because I knew
Yeah.
he was gonna like it.
because
It's
this does
good.
something
I'm glad-
different, right? I mean, it feels different.
Yeah,
It's a different movie.
yeah.
than
That's
anything we ever covered and watch on our own. It's not a possession movie per se, but like it kind of is.
Okay,
Lily's
It
that's,
hints
possessed.
on it.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. Dan, do you think this is a possession movie, or do you think this is something else?
So for me, this movie and why I like it so much is it tells one of my favorite types of stories, and that is deals with the devil. And my favorite thing about these stories are usually the payoffs are usually very clever in how the devil collects on their end in the bargain. And so like I look at this movie and I see it as we are catching the devil collecting in on his bargain, and we've got
Right.
video proof of it. And like that's how
Collecting
I
on his
see it.
Faustian deal.
Welcome to the family, Jack.
Jack, congratulations on your ratings win. What did you have to sacrifice to get here tonight?
Oh, Jack Delroy's greatest sacrifice is yet to come.
That's why I say like I don't know if I necessarily agree with it as it being a possession movie, more so as like making a deal with the devil and kind of like this is your bed, you have to lie in it. And I feel like
Right.
the possession piece is more or less a glamour trick on behalf of the devil. I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
my take.
That makes sense.
I really like. I don't think it is a possession movie because it's not really about the girl. It's about Jack, and it's
Right.
about it's about the Faustian deal that he's made, and like how that's kind of come to a head. There's so many like side stories going on, and
Yes.
I thought Dan's comment earlier was super identifiable for me as this feels like a ride. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
on, and it's almost like a new type of movie. Because I got to be honest with you, there's not too many movies that made me feel like this movie did, as far as like a very curated experience where I was being kind of brought through this like this whole situation, very much like a ride almost. I felt like I think that was a very astute description.
Does anybody think they have any idea of what the actual deal entailed? Like, what was the bargain?
I have a question on that too, because Jack belonged to the Grove, right?
Right.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove.
Yep.
They never say Bohemian Grove. They just say
Oh
the
yeah,
Grove.
the Grove.
But we know, yeah, we know what they're talking about.
And so they're like a male club with, I guess, devil worshiping as part of their club. Is that right?
That's
Well, have you heard about them before, Kevin?
I just saw very little when I looked up research about the Bohemian Club there.
So yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
like a big thing with like where like these rich, supposedly all of these, billionaires and influencers and people. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where like they all come together at this camp in California and like have like a little festival. I think people look far more into it than it is, and they kind of
Yeah,
think
I
that
was
they're
gonna
worshiping
say.
some deity. I've heard
Yeah.
Moloch, which is like that like child eating deity or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably something far stupider than that, and probably something that would just
Billionaires
make
don't
everybody
tend to be
roll
smart
their
people.
eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you research it, the closer you get to Alex Jones shit. And so
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's probably just some billionaires club. But anyways, that's like the big mystery. It's like, what are they doing up there? Are they cutting deals with the devil so they can be rich and powerful or continue to be rich and powerful? Like that's kind of the thing. So I think that's what they were trying
Yeah.
to work with.
In the context of the movie, it's pretty clear that in the movie, the Grove is exactly what Alex Jones thinks Bohemian Grove is.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
you know,
I mean, also in the movie, Jack, as part of the Grove, makes a deal with them. Or, I mean, it's not told verbatim this is what happened, but we
Right.
can infer that
Yeah.
he made a deal with them and the devil specifically to be this great late night talk show host, right?
right.
In
Well, I mean, it is-
exchange for his
It
wife's
is said almost specifically
life?
because they say, when Jack is like, or when the demon is like, "Oh, don't you remember me, Jack, among the tall trees?" Like it's in Redwoods. So
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think my question too is when this possession stuff starts happening, Jack seems freaked out. But I mean, if he's with the Grove, isn't he used to like devil stuff going on?
So creepy.
I mean, not necessarily, right? Because he is the Rube. He's the Mark. So they're not going to let him in on everything, right? There might be parts of their ceremonies and stuff that they're not letting him in on. Obviously, this is all speculation, but
Yeah.
this movie leaves a lot of room for speculation. It's wonderful how many questions it leaves unanswered that you don't feel unsatisfied by it the way you do in some other things. You're more curious. You want to think about it deeper. It's one of the great
I think
things
that's
about
interesting
this movie.
that Nathan reads it that Jack is the victim, because I read it as Jack went there with the intent of doing that and then the intent of cutting a deal, and that this is actually just the consequence of his deal kind of coming to a head. And like you said, yes, he acts like he's surprised by all this, but then he's backstage talking with his manager and he's like, "Oh, we're going to bring him on next week, and we'll do this like regular." Like
Yeah.
doesn't sound
Right.
like somebody who's been shaken to their core, you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I don't necessarily know if Jack is fully aware of the consequences of him cutting that deal. I don't know if he's necessarily making
Couldn't be,
those
right?
connections with his wife passing, like, you know, that deal or what have you. I kind of tend to agree with Nathan in the perspective of I see Jack as a victim as well.
Yeah.
In that, like,
interesting.
he's a victim of his own, I guess, pride and narcissism and wanting to become
Greed.
like this greed. Thank you.
Yeah.
But like, he's a victim of that, but then he's also a victim of these people who he thought would help him, and they end up ultimately being the most evil people possible, and they betray him. So,
Who could have predicted that?
Right.
You make a deal with the devil and he fucks you?
And it goes wrong.
Who could have seen that come?
He seemed like such an honorable guy.
I know. Famous for making incredibly fair deals. Right?
You know what?
Like Elizabeth Hurley. What could go wrong?
That isn't what I signed.
You should have checked the wording in the fine print.
Logan, what are your thoughts? Do you think that Jack is the victim?
Victim? No. But, like, he's definitely getting trial vibes. Like, in this movie. Like, he's getting thrown into this, like, fire in this, like, kind of late night show. I like Dan's point of view where he is...
Like in
He's
hell?
like on trial
in
in hell.
Yeah.
He's facing his demons.
Because, like, the things that happen, they don't happen in real life. So, like, in this world, maybe? But, like, I kind of like the world that's kind of alternate to ours. So he's not really the victim, but he definitely is getting punished. He deserves it, though.
I see what you're saying. When I say he's like the Rube, the Mark, I'm not saying he doesn't really just kind of deserve it. You know, he's not a good
No,
guy.
he deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. When you said that stuff's not really happening in the real world, do you mean that you think none of the stuff with Lily at the end of the movie actually happened and that was like a hypnotism thing? Because that was one of the questions that came into my mind.
I thought about that. Yeah.
Maybe this whole thing was in a different world or like hell or on trial, and then we're snapped back to reality.
Right.
And he did kill all those people as his price.
Killing all those people would certainly make him extremely famous.
It would. Oh, that's a good point. That's what the devil does.
Mm-hmm.
Because he makes him famous.
Not in the way
and-
he inspects.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like a
Right.
genie.
Yeah, he's
Would have been
He's
cool if,
fam-
like, the last thing they said is he finally beat Carson's, like, ratings
Oh,
by
yeah.
killing everybody on set.
right.
Finally did it.
Actually, I think it would have been funnier the other way if he was like 0.1.
Still, like, one-
Still a point.
God
Fuck
damn
that
you.
Carson!
Damn you,
Oh,
Carson.
man.
You are correct, sir. What were your thoughts on the ending? I mean, do you think it was a satisfying ending to this movie? Bearclaw, what do you think?
So I don't know if it was satisfying, but it left a lot more questions than it did answers, but I think that was the right way to end this movie. I think any type of certainty would have taken away a lot of the fun of, like, oh, did he get his just desserts? Is he in trial in hell? Is he did he just kill everybody on stage and now he's going to be the #1 rated guy? I think that leaving it open like that was, I think, the correct move, because there's a lot of ways you can interpret it. Was, you know, especially with the flashbacks where he goes back and he talks to the cult, who's supposed to be like that Anton LaVey kind of like character, and like you see him meet up with the cult and take a drink, and then, you know, you see that ending, and there's so much that happens. And, you know, his wife who has cancer, and, you know, he has to sacrifice her, and that was kind of, you know, they mentioned that it's kind of implied that she was his sacrifice for doing for the fame.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you
So
think
like
that was
that kind of, you know, the knife of Abraxas. So I thought it was a good way to end it. But there's definitely no certainty, and I don't think there's a satisfaction. But I think that's a good thing.
I kind of agree with what Bear Claw is saying. I don't believe there is really a satisfying ending to it per se. It's very open-ended, but at the same time, like, it gives room to breathe, and it gives you, like I said in the beginning when we first started, like, it leaves you thinking about the movie after you've watched it. Part of it is because it's so open-ended that you can't help but go back to it and try to fill in the blanks, fill in the spots that they left out for you to do.
No, I think that's always a good thing when a movie doesn't just tie everything up in a nice bow. And
yeah, because
real life isn't like that.
Yeah. And I totally agree. The thing though is this ending is an ending. You know what happens afterwards, basically. But it's everything else that's so open-ended. And that's why it worked for me, because it's not like, oh, are we going to get another movie to figure out what happened next? You know what happened next. It's the questions about everything else that makes it great, I think. So
it kind of reminded me of The Fog, where it was like you didn't really get a happy ending.
Right.
But it was an ending.
Right.
Oh, I love The Fog ending because of how sad it ends. And you're just like, that's how it ends. But like this movie, it was different because I knew it was going to happen. So I wasn't really like, ah, man, if only. But like, it was a good ending. I really liked it. Yeah.
I like how they kind of shot this as a portrayal of real life. Like, this actually took place on this late night show. They did the narrator with the exposition at the beginning.
Did you notice that Patty Hearst was in that little...
I'm glad you brought this up. One of my things in my research showed tying this to Serial Mom, which we covered last on Straight Jacket Talk. They used real footage, right? From the SWAT team that went into the, what were they? The
I can't remember the name of the
Symbionese
group that kidnapped her.
Liberation Army, which Patty Hearst was kidnapped by. Yeah.
And then they've used footage of Patty Hearst's arrest. It was just funny to have two, like, Patty Hearst is in Serial Mom as juror number 8. It was just funny. 2 movies in a row to have Patty Hearst in it, just in very different capacities.
All leading to this.
It's like 7 degrees of separation.
Right.
What did you guys think about the cult in the movie?
I mean, they weren't particularly fleshed out, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So I felt like the cult was sort of more of a means to an end narratively than something I could really wrap my head around, sink my teeth into. I do like that the cult members are sitting in the audience, though, and that, like, every time he interacts with one of them, you're kind of like, fucking something going on there. Like the skeleton guy.
Don't be upset. I'm just ribbing you.
Yeah, who is the skeleton?
He's a member of the cult.
I think I missed that. He seems like he was important. There's a lot of focus on him. But is there something that I missed there? Because I couldn't figure out. I thought the skeleton was going to get up and kill people or something.
That's what I thought too.
The skeleton seemed important, but he wasn't. Was he just a MacGuffin?
I think he was a red herring.
He was definitely in the cult because, like, when all the cult members are on stage and feeding him whatever was in that cup, the skeleton is in amongst the crowd in the cult, as well as everybody who was in a mask in the audience. So, I mean, that's the payoff. But you know, he made me very uneasy.
If the cult is in the audience, then didn't they all burn to death?
Ooh,
yeah.
Damn, Dan's right.
He is already dead.
Right. My biggest takeaway from the cult, though, was like the fact that the cult leader's name and the daughter's last name was like Diabo. I'm like, oh yeah, that's on the nose. Diablo.
Well,
there were a couple
the cult
of
leader's name is that Anton LaVey name, like mixed up, the letters mixed up.
Oh,
Yeah.
is
It's an anagram?
it? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
There were a couple on the nose things in this movie also. And obviously, I think they were a little homage to The Exorcist.
Power of Christ.
Power of Christ.
That shit
There
don't
was,
work in this movie.
He talks about not wanting to get his head spun around.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he gets his head spun around. Yeah.
I don't know, too, if you guys had noticed when they introduced Lily, the music was very Exorcist-esque with
No, I didn't catch that.
I didn't either.
What's the bell song?
Oh, Tubular Bells.
Tubular Bells.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how absurd it was when Lily came out and you see a full-grown ass woman in, what's the name of that?
Like Oshkosh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A full-grown woman in little girl's clothes, and all of the crowd goes, "Ah," as if they're looking at a 7-year-old.
Hi. Lily.
He's 40.
I just thought that was funny.
I don't know about you guys, but that girl was creepy as hell, man.
Oh, especially when she's looking like right at the camera, like just like
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up because there's this one going back to my whole idea of this being in hell or whatever, and she's staring at the camera, and he mentions like, oh, like you don't have to look at the camera, look at me or whatever.
Now, Lily, you don't have to look at the camera. You can actually talk directly to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be silly.
It's the devil's show. The devil is front and center. Devil
Right.
can't take their eyes off the camera. It's their show. It's their
Right,
show. It's
right.
not Jack's show. And then the
devil
devil's
is
like,
looking-
all right, I'll let you
Yeah.
have control.
Right.
All right, back to your little show.
well, the skeptic there
Shut
said
up.
Abraxas was the showman, right? Or like to
Right,
be like to be seen.
My other thing was with the skeptic, and this is the guy. This guy is the one that really is the one that sold me on this idea. Is think about him as a character. He's a magician, and one of the things the devil. It's that saying. One of the tricks the devil played is convincing the world that he didn't exist. He's there the entire time trying to
Convince you he doesn't
debunk
exist.
the devil that he doesn't exist.
That makes,
Do you guys know who
that
he's
makes sense.
based off of?
James Randi.
Yeah, James Randi
Yeah.
and his stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's pretty cool.
One thing is certain. It's not psychic power.
It's definitely James Randi turned up to an 11. James Randi is much nicer than that guy is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
This guy was a dick.
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
kind of liked him for it, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
my favorite
No.
character in the
Yeah,
entire movie.
great
Dang,
character.
you guys have no heart.
Well,
Listen,
he's right.
I have a huge problem with people who do cold readings. So when he's coming out there and giving shit to that first guy, it's like, I like this guy.
What I saw was an admittedly accomplished performer digging from a bag of tricks that goes back to biblical times. By my count, Christou flopped no less than 5 times before he hit on the tenuous Peterson connection.
Fuck this cold reader guy.
He was your favorite character?
Oh, yeah, Carmichael?
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the part of the movie when the cold reader guy has died, and they're like, he died on the way to the hospital, and everybody's like, don't tell the crew. Whatever you do, don't tell the crew.
They're gonna want to
They'll just
leave.
They find out.
Oh yeah, they do find out, and I think they say at some point that like 4 members of the crew walked off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Godspeed to those guys. I gotta say, only people in the movie to do
Oh yeah, if
anything
you're the
smart at all.
cameraman there and you're getting paid minimum wage, you're gonna stick around and see the devil come out. I'm like, no.
Fuck
I'm
this.
good.
You gotta take this up with my steward. I don't want to.
This was during the 70s, too, so people were definitely probably more religious in their beliefs and maybe more extreme back then, too.
Right.
Where, like, anything with the devil, you know, you don't mention his name. It's like Voldemort.
Right.
Whoa,
right.
whoa.
Yeah.
We don't want him coming.
Well,
He's
and
here.
that's why I like that they didn't use the actual devil that they use like Abraxas and like they use this like and they made it kind of like a little bit of an otherworldly, but they still mixed in a lot of demonic, like when she almost bites the lady's hand and like all that stuff. So they do mix the demonic bit in, but there's more of like an otherworldly feel that I really appreciate about this.
Well, they also had a nod again to The Exorcist with Dr. Wiggles, Mr. Wiggles, right?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of Captain Howdy.
Lily was just a giant nod to The Exorcist at the end of the day until the end, when things went a little bit differently than the end of The Exorcist. So
that's true. Like in The Exorcist, what Bearclaw was saying about it's not really the devil,
right?
It's these demons, right?
Right. In The Exorcist,
there could be multiple,
Pazuzu.
especially in The Exorcist.
And like one of the things I thought is cool, or that I think is interesting about both of these movies, is they both use demons. Like in Pazuzu in the first one, or in The Exorcist, and Abraxas in this one. It's funny because to me, if you look at the history behind those entities, neither one of them is bad necessarily. They're not like Pazuzu is like actually supposed to protect like pregnant women. He's supposed to be, he was kind of an idol that was used to like stop miscarriages or things like that. And like Abraxas is in Gnostic Christian belief is not seen as like good or bad. He's kind of like good and bad like mixed together, and like he's not like good or bad, but like I like how they use they don't use the devil, because I feel like using the devil is like too on the nose. They use these demons, or a little bit less is known about them, but I think that makes it like more interesting. I like how this is different from The Exorcist in that I don't know what this demon's end goal is. Like, it's not like the devil where it's like he's just trying to fight Catholicism, or he's trying to fight good people, or he's trying to, because like what was Pazuzu's goal in The Exorcist? It's kind of vague. But like, I like how Abraxas, like, he has a goal, but it's kind of unknown. Is his goal to be on TV? Is his goal to punish Jack? Is his goal to, it's kind of an unknown, but I really enjoyed that.
Although I do think that in all sort of demon possession movies, the goal of the demon is always just to be the bad guy.
Just to mess around.
Yeah, fuck with people.
Just to hurt people.
Spiritual bully.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We don't have enough of those.
Yeah. You pushing people up against the lockers to steal their lunch money.
Or putting them in them.
Right. Putting them in lockers and, spiritual lockers.
Have you ever been put
it's much scarier
in a locker?
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
I've never
No
been
one
put
shoves
in a locker,
Bearclaw in a locker.
Nobody.
We have pretty small lockers, so like I can't imagine anybody getting put in one.
No.
Well, you got to chop them up first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Take it off right here, then.
How to on YouTube.
I really like too in this movie how when it wasn't being shot for the late night show, like their behind the scenes banter, it was in black and white.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You like that,
I
Louis?
really liked it.
Yeah.
I like the manager too.
You're such an asshole.
You happy to stay with us a little longer?
I really should.
That's the spirit. I can't wait to catch your act, by the way.
There's no one. That guy was a jerk.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's what makes him great.
That's what a manager is.
I kind of wish I had somebody like him in my life.
I know.
He was nudging him
You can be the
along.
nice guy, and then you send the manager in to be the hatchet man.
They're gonna do this.
There basically weren't any like good characters in this movie.
Yeah,
though, when
nobody.
I think about it. I don't mean like quality wise. I mean like they were all assholes. Every single character in the movie was an asshole, other than
Not
Lily.
the narrator guy.
Oh yeah. You know what? You're right. Gus.
He was
is
the voice
closest.
of reason.
Gus.
Yeah, Gus.
Because he was
the
telling
closest.
Jack not to do it. It's kind of like the devil and angel, like on his shoulder. Like the manager telling him what to do, and the angel telling him not to do it. That's a very
Plus is the
psychological battle. between your id and your super ego and your ego.
Yeah. Although
Carl,
Gus
you
Gus
have to
was
be
a
proud.
great foil in this movie for what was going on, because he's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like how like a reasonable person would probably react to things of like, no, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't summon the devil. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
bad idea.
I know about Christu. Crew's scared, Jack. I'm scared. Okay, some of us are talking about jumping ship.
He's almost
Yeah.
like an audience surrogate in a way, saying everything
Yeah.
you're thinking about what they're doing.
And the worm thing was nuts.
Oh my gosh, the worm scene. That's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. What were your opinions on that scene? Because it was a little over the top in a way, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I loved it
Yeah.
because it was over the top.
Yeah.
Although it was a little funny to see a character that's obviously based on James Ramsey do something that just simply can't be done, but and say, "See, this is the skeptic's way of." But the effects were really good in that particular scene as well. And I've said I'm a CGI apologist, but something about the CGI in this movie wasn't great, but the practical effects with the worm stuff was amazing.
That looked
the
really
worms
good.
coming out of his belly. Yeah, it looked amazing.
Speaking about that stuff, I understood, and I wasn't quite sure where it was used and where it wasn't, but they said that AI was used in this movie.
That's quite a segue.
It gotcha.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of interstitials in the movie that were made with AI. Basically, just like posters when going into commercial, just a couple of images, and I don't want to get too deep into it or go on too long about it, but it does piss me off because that is a job that an artist could have. You could have paid somebody on Fiverr a couple $100. You got a $2 million budget. There's a couple $100 in somebody's wallet on that set that you could have used to pay a real artist. And somebody who is a small artist could have gotten their work in front of millions of people. And that didn't happen because they used AI. Also, it looks like shit.
It does.
It really looks terrible. So
it looks all gloopy. I don't know, liquidous almost like.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the reason why they used it.
Yeah, well, you can tell an artist to make something look like shit if you want, but
yeah, Van Gogh.
So
now I'm
He
with
knew what
Nathan
shit
because
was.
it's a slippery slope on this stuff, and it just doesn't. Frankly, it doesn't look as good. And even though it was sparingly used, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well. They're testing the waters out, and then what other corners are they going to try
That's what
and
it
cut?
is.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. As a musician, I'm looking at some of the I'm not against AI. I'm going to be using some AI powered tools in the production of this very show, but I'm looking at things like Suno, which is AI music generation, and I played around with a little bit and. Did any of it come out good enough that I'd bump it in my car? No. Is any of it good enough to be used in a commercial? Yes. And the thing about that is non-famous artists, non-famous musicians, the way they make their money is with little jobs like that. And you're taking that away from people who are trying to make a living by putting out generic slop,
Yeah.
And I just...
I could have done it.
I think Bear Claw's right though too, because a lot of this is testing the waters. So even though, like Nathan, you were saying you're a musician, you really notice this.
Yeah.
The general public doesn't notice what's going on.
Right.
And I think, like Bear Claw is saying, little by little, they're hoping to kind of work out the kinks, get better with it. And then who knows? You'll have full movies that are AI.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing is AI is the worst it's ever going to be again right now, and that's true every time it advances. It is going to get better so I don't know. It ticked me off. Not enough that I don't like the movie or anything like that, but it's just, I wish you hadn't done that. It's basically what it comes down to.
I hear you. Were there any scenes that you thought were generally scary in this movie? Dan, is there anything that stood out to you?
Not really. Not anything particularly scary, but going back to the worms spot there, that was that caught me off guard more than anything. It was very jarring. Like, I out of left field, kind of going back to this thread of conversation we've been having of how it's unexpected, of like, you don't know what's coming around the corner, and like, just this to me, like, it worked the best, like, in that scene with the way they set this movie up. Like, it comes out of nowhere and you're like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah. As soon as he's like, oh, there's a cut on my neck, you're like, what? We were just talking about worms. What's going? Oh, it's
I got a very Reanimator vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
and
bit.
that scene made me question whether everything else previous to that was some type of hypnosis or something like that. So it put me off balance, you know?
Right. Well, that scene is the main reason I question whether or not it was actually just Jack Delroy that killed everybody, and everything that happened with Lily didn't happen at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because at the very end, you've got Jack Delroy stabbing Lily in the chest, and like, yes, Carmichael is still burned, and Gus's head is still turned backwards. But you can imagine a way that Jack could have pulled that off while under hypnosis. So
you know what? Could this be a simple premise of Jack had, a mental illness, and all this was in his mind?
That feels like...
You're trying to say it sounds too much like the ending says it's all a dream?
We live inside a dream. Hell, God, baby, damn no.
Yeah, like...
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't need to be over complicated. Like, it is what it is, Carmichael got burned. Who cares?
Abracadabra.
I like
Logan, for you, was there anything scary in this movie?
Yes. And you know what it was?
I don't. That's why I asked.
Nothing.
Oh.
And that's what made it scary. Because, like, if I was expecting possession, there's going to be a scene that makes heads roll or turn,
Right.
But, like, there wasn't really. And I'm not a man that gets scared by movies.
Right.
Unless you do, like, with the worm scene, like, just jarring. But, like, there wasn't really a scene that had, like, something scary.
Yeah, so it was more captivating, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Nathan, what
got
about you?
scared.
Anything? Bearclaw, you were scared?
Oh, yeah.
He was shaking in his old boots.
Staring into the camera, and even when the camera wasn't on her and the action was away from her, she was still staring dead into the camera.
That was spooky.
That was creepy.
That creeped me out. And then, and I'm going to use this as my quote too, but that, like, oh, Jack, you don't remember Among the Trees? That gave me goosebumps too. Like, oh, like that connection, like, and his lack of reaction to that, him like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but him just being like, okay. Like that almost like creeped me out a lot too. But those were like, I was genuinely scared at those moments, especially the girl really creeped me out. Like just that staring into the, I don't know why that hits me so hard, but like that scares me.
I mean, I wouldn't say there is anything there was parts where I was like staring at the screen. I needed to know what would happen next. Not a lot of movies scare me anymore. I'm 38.
Well, I got a movie for
it's
you.
Not real. So
What is
you got a movie for me?
Annie.
Annie?
That shit will scare you for weeks. No, Mr. Banks.
Is somebody going to come up behind me with a leg of lamb? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Or Shirley Temple.
No, I'm not afraid of Shirley Temple, but if Beverly Sutphin shows up, I'll be pissing my pants.
Actually, what was creepy too in this movie was the first medium that came out.
Yeah.
He did his thing with the ladies in the crowd, right? But then he's going to the back and he's like, "Oh, who's Minnie? Like, speak up if you know this."
The old friends of our show who always... Christy.
Something very intense here.
Perhaps, are we getting another message from Edmund?
No, this is... I'm getting the name... Minnie. Does anyone here know a Minnie? Please accept.
And I knew right then and there that was his wife. He didn't want to... Jack's wife.
As soon as he was like, an unmarried man wearing a wedding ring is like, what kind of unmarried man wears a wedding ring?
Mm-hmm.
A widow. That's the only kind of unmarried man that wears a wedding ring.
And he looked weird too. Like, I don't want to make fun of. I don't know whether that actor had on makeup or something, but I mean, just the shape of his head and stuff was like very bizarre. Like from the medium. I mean, I don't know. He's a very awesome job playing that role.
Yeah, he really did a good job of making me hate him.
Yeah.
Doing the
Dang, that poor guy's just earning a living.
Just trying to make a living grifting people.
Yeah, it was such a crock.
Just
preying
scamming
on
vulnerable
widows
people out of their money.
Okay,
yeah,
but that's what made that scene creepy is because it seemed like he was done doing his grifting bit.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, this is different from what he was doing before.
The moment he actually heard a voice from beyond, it scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And it made you go, is he grifting? Is he still grifting? And then his eyes go up into the back of his head and it's like, I don't think he's still grifting.
And then the blood coming out his nose, and then of course the black projectile puke.
Penguin style.
Yeah, there's a lot of black puke in movies.
Yeah. You remember that scene in It Part 2?
I've never seen it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've seen it, but
I've seen
you're
it,
better
but
off,
I'm
to be
blanking.
honest with you. One of the monsters summoned by Pennywise starts puking all over one of the characters, and then all of a sudden this a really happy song comes out. It's a really bizarre moment.
Sounds like a fun movie.
It's not.
Maybe one we'll cover.
It Part 1 was great. It Part 2 there's no need to see it ever, in my opinion.
What do you guys think about the female doctor there who was with the girl?
I thought I hated her.
You hated her?
I didn't like her. No, I thought
her and Jack's relationship.
She was
they were
fucking
banging.
him.
Jack and
They went up the hill to fuck each other's
There was
brains
more.
out.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
their relationship.
Yeah.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fuck each other's brains out. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fuck each other.
That's enough!
But Nathan, to your point,
She
there's a
wasn't good
lot
person.
of bad people.
They were all
movie.
bad.
Yeah.
You know, she pushes back and says, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. And then she just gives in. Like, she's the only person who knows what the possible consequences of all this are. And she just gives in because she's an asshole. Honestly.
She's also looking for some.
Yeah. But she's also profiting off of her
Doing the devil's
relationship with
tangle.
Lily. She's also profiting off of her relationship with Lily. Like,
she has a
that's
book.
the whole point of her going on to the show is to promote her book. And she's like family now. Oh, you don't actually seem that concerned about her if you're putting her in this situation. So,
to your point, Carmichael, he knows he's an asshole.
He knows he's a douche.
Yeah. That's what makes him great.
But that's because he believed it.
The only thing with Carmichael, and they tease a little bit on this too, is he tries to hit Jack up to go in the Grove.
Go to the
right?
Bohemian Grove, yeah. Yeah, he does.
He's really into the orgy
He
aspect of
really
it.
likes the orgy aspect, yeah.
He's an old man.
Yeah. I believe he says that a couple of times.
You must invite me along one of these days. I'd love to know if the rumors are true. The secret handshakes, the orgies, the arcane ceremonies, but mostly the orgies.
Jack.
70s were a fun time.
Woo. I think it's time for quote or kill.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, my quote in this movie is going to be when Jack is talking to his manager, Leo, I believe his name is, and they're all excited because the ratings are coming in. They're like, oh man, this is going to be great.
What did he say? Just that he thinks it's the biggest TV event since the moon landing. Who was I to disagree? We're back. Baby, back! We're back from the fucking dead. And about 35, maybe even 40 share.
The night Jack Delroy interviewed that cock-fucking devil.
Well, it might not be the headline the Times run with, or the Post for that matter, but something in that vein.
The night Jack Delroy interviewed that cock fucking devil. And I think Leo says something like, well, that's not going to really be the headline, but yeah.
When June, the doctor, says, I've got a degree in parapsychology.
It so happens I have a PhD in the subject.
From the University of Hogwash, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, from the University of Hogwash. That just tickled my funny bone. I thought that was hilarious. Because that's something I would think but not say out loud if somebody said something like that to me. And actually, my favorite kill is Carmichael getting it. Just burning to death out of, spontaneous combustion from, a demon made of electricity.
I love the little dummy cooking. Like, the little dummy they put in there after while he's cooking.
Right.
So he's burnt alive. It looks so campy.
Like we're going back to the 80s, some of those older, like Friday
Like the Blue Lightning,
movies.
too?
Yeah. Mine, I'm going to go with a quote. And my quote is Lily saying, "Don't worry about your show, Jack."
And you needn't worry about your TV show. I think you're going to be very famous soon.
I love the foreshadowing in that quote. It's just so much ominous tone in it, and such a polite and cheery, encouraging wordage.
Yeah.
I thought I have a quote and a kill. My favorite quote, and I already kind of spoiled it, is the one where she goes, where Lily goes, "Oh, Jack, we go way back."
Sorry, I don't believe we've been acquainted.
Don't be a fool. We go way back. We met amongst the tall trees. Remember?
Do you remember from our time with the tall trees? Like, that just was really creepy. And then I enjoyed that because it tied it back to the Grove and all that other kind of stuff. And then my favorite kill was when she was killing the psychologist with her talisman. That shows that the talisman really didn't do shit up until this point. Like, the talisman didn't have any power whatsoever. It was just, it was just the demon felt like playing by those rules at the time, and she kills the main lady with it.
Yeah.
Almost Hereditary style.
I was going to say that. Didn't that remind you of Hereditary?
Yeah.
Without the sound.
You're welcome, Bear Claw.
Yeah.
We're all dealing with trauma from that sound a little bit, I think, in Hereditary.
Yeah. Thanks, Logan. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, I saw it before you.
You're welcome, America. I would say anything Karen Michaels said is my favorite quote.
You liked all his stuff.
Dude, everything he said was so funny.
No more have the power of divination than I resemble Burt Reynolds. You, sir, like me, are a liar, a cheat, a charlatan, and a fake. The difference being, I'm honest about it.
Because he was just completely shitting on everybody. Like, they're like a single person. And I loved it. But my favorite kill, probably Gus. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when he had the little
power of Christ compels you.
Yeah. That was like, oh God, he's gonna get it. And then he did. But yeah.
It was such an homage to The Exorcist too, for him to say that and then get his head turned around. It's like,
Yeah, I didn't even like The Exorcist.
I know you didn't. You're wrong, but you know.
Again, you're welcome, America.
Nathan, what I liked on the kill that you had mentioned with Carmichael getting burnt alive, I guess, is he had teased earlier in the show about abracadabra, like this is all a magic trick. And I love how the demon said abracadabra.
Right.
As she lit him on fire, pretty much.
Right. That was good. Yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Cruel irony. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're on to our final rating. Now, we're going to rate Late Night with the Devil from 1 to 5 stars. 5 being the best. 5 is Jack Del Roy finally topping Carson for ratings. 1 is Carmichael being an asshole. I don't know, but some of you guys like that, so
I love that.
Loved it.
Ugh, you all have no heart.
You're right.
I'm giving this movie 4 stars. I'm very tempted to give it like 4.5, not a 5 for me. And the thing that brings it down is the rewatchability, because I think now that I've seen it, watching it again and again is a little tougher. But I do like some of the open-ended stuff in this. But I feel like the first view is so good because it's captivating. You're wondering what's next, what's next, what's next. And it really keeps you engaged throughout. There's really no downtime. It's an hour and a half, which more movies should be. Like, there's no way.
Tight.
Yeah. There's no reason to keep some of these movies like at 2.5 hours.
They're like 3 hours now. Oppenheimer.
But why? Why? I don't know. But this is a high 4 stars. Like I said, I'm not a huge possession movie fan. This actually is one of my top ones. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I came into this review at a 3.5. But I think talking with everybody and sort of talking it out sort of brought me up to a 4 on this movie. Yeah.
Nice.
I really do like this movie a lot, and I will watch it again. I love the 70s aesthetic. I love the whole it's on TV in the 70s thing. And I love the open-endedness of the ending. There was a few things I didn't like. I honestly could have done with less of the behind the scenes stuff. Some of those conversations were like, I didn't need that. But I really love this movie. Yeah, I'll give it a 4 stars.
Much like Jack Delroy's career, this one just comes up a hair short of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars.
Nice.
I love this movie. It's great. It's so entertaining. It's like I said, it's like a carnival ride going through it and just seeing all the little horrors, I should say. It's like a horror ride going through, seeing all the horrors and all that other stuff. I think it has great rewatchability. And again, theory crafting. I'm all about that shit. I love it. So for me, 4.5, easy watch. Like Bear Claw had mentioned, it's tight. Hour and a half watch, goes quick, and it's very entertaining. Can't complain.
I stand at 5 stars. I'm going to be watching this movie yearly. It's going to be a cult classic. I fell in love with this movie. I think it's fantastic. I know a movie has crossed the threshold for me when I love it for its flaws. And it has flaws for sure, for certain. But I love it for it, and I think it adds to the style of it. I think it adds to the feel. So for me, I really think this is the rare gem that deserves those 5 stars, in my opinion.
I'm gonna give this a 1 star. No, it's a 5.
Whoa.
Yeah, this
Another
is
5.
my behind the mask kind of movie.
No cap, Logan. No cap.
Like
cap. I love the
like
vibe.
Bear Claw said, this is gonna be a cult classic. It's gonna be a movie that my generation, older generation, everyone can watch. Like, it's not a possession movie, which I like, because I hate possession movies. I hate them. That's right, Nathan. I hate them.
Eventually, I'm going to make us review The Wailing. It's a nice 2.5-hour possession movie in Korean.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm just going to do it to punish
I'm
you for
good.
saying something mean at some point.
Get ready for my
I just
pick.
found my selection.
Coming soon to the Mouths of Madness.
No.
No, I think, Logan, you actually summed it up in a good way, because I think older generations and younger generations both can appreciate this movie. There's a lot for everybody in Late Night with the Devil, which is awesome. And we all kind of rated it very highly. So
It's probably the highest rated episode we done.
Maybe. I mean, Serial Mom got 2 5s and a 3.5.
I'm talking like the Mouths of Madness. Not just you guys.
Reanimator has got the unanimous.
yeah,
It's the only
Reanimator
Oh,
and Black Christmas are our only 2.
I
Unanimous.
think I can think of what our worst is.
Well, we don't want to talk about
Nathan's
we don't
favorite.
It's coming.
oh my God.
We're gonna watch it this Christmas.
Every
No.
Christmas.
You know what? I ban everybody from watching that movie. I've decided.
You don't
it's
have
the one
to.
thing I'm allowed.
I think we can all unanimous agree. That
Point
movie
taken.
sucks.
But unlike Better Watch Out, The Mouths of Madness and Straight Jacket Talk both highly recommend Late Night with the Devil. Go see it. It's free on Shudder if you have Shudder. And if you don't, get Shudder, because it's cool.
Shudder's a good service.
Yeah, I love Shudder.
Yeah.
Toy.
And Shudder, if you want to sponsor our show, we'll be more than willing to have you come aboard.
We can fit it in.
I want to thank all you gentlemen for joining us. This was fun. It was like a family reunion.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you for
definitely.
having us.
And,
Very fun.
Coming soon, we're going to have a new Mouths of Madness episode. We just recorded 28 days later and released it, so it's available right now. Go to where you listen to podcasts and check it out. We're going to have links below for both shows and all our socials, so please go follow us. But until then, back to the pattern room with you.
Late Night with the Devil.